Hello, everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker Training. Richard Carlton. It says Thursday on my calendar, but it feels very Friday-y, if that makes any sense. So let me see what I'm doing here. I'm working on the database that we did yesterday. So we're working on this part system with the part interaction, part reordering, things like that. One of you wanted to know why I didn't have a new Firehawk with the company logo on it. It's only $3.8 million. And I simply said, well, I need more people to buy our subscriptions if you want us but in all honesty, we do need subscribers to subscribe so we can pay the bills on this stuff. If you want to purchase the 199 or 299 subscription, you get access to all our recorded content. The free content we have is there's somewhat free content, but like this course here is a real great course. And they're posting new videos onto it every day that are getting cleaned up. In fact, I have to review another one. But it's really good training in here. So if you've liked what you've seen us do this week, you need to have this course. To get this course, all you have to do is buy one of these levels of subscription. And it gets you a year of extra love from me. And once again, I mentioned this yesterday, but if you need help or you want to ask a question or whatever, the people who are subscribers get higher levels of attention than people who never spend any money. It doesn't mean I'm going to actively ignore you, but if I have 10 people to reply to, the people who we recognize as people who have paid for subscription, they're going to go to the top of the food chain because I want to reward them for their patronage. Okay. So anyway, with that in mind, all right, so that's it for that. We don't have to see that anymore. And so what we have yesterday, let me just kind of back. So let's like rewind and tell us how we got to where we're at. So this is a copy of starting point 25. I put this extra text up here. Okay, all the starting point is a little bit of a video thing that pops up here, but you can always, when you customize it, delete it. We've already done some additional shenanigans here. The customization we're doing to this video will not, this is a separate download. This is not going to be part of starting point because parts and inventory management is a kind of a specific, I don't want to say edge case, but it's how everyone who runs their own business does it a little differently, and how parts and warehouses are run. Most of you, if you have a parts or warehouse section, pretty sure you do it different than Amazon. Amazon does it literally with a bunch of robots running around or kind of minimum wage people doing whatever they do. But they're going to this robot strategy, and the robots are smart. In fact, what they're doing, the best efficient use of this is robots that run around, and then people intelligently do the picking off the shelves, and they drop it onto the basket that's on the robot. So the robot keeps going down the different parts of the warehouse, right? And as it pulls up to you, it says, "Hey, can you grab this for me on a shelf near you?" So it's not even really a basket you're picking. You're just kind of managing this part of the warehouse. And when a robot comes into your area, you go over and find what it's looking for and you drop in the basket. Then it drives off. It might drive another 200-300 yards to, like the Indiana Jones. Someone of you mentioned this the other day, the Indiana Jones at the end of the first movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's the Ark of the Covenant. They locked it in a box and put it in a warehouse. Okay. So, the warehouses like that are real things, right? And the Amazon's got robots that run around and do this, and they help create and so when the robot thinks it's all done, it goes to the front where it dumps it into a cardboard box. A human gets involved, does the last little bit, slaps a label on it, out it goes, if that makes sense. So, there's some increased levels of automation. So that is kind of where this could go, but we're not using robots here. The idea, once again, is that we have mechanics that work on aircraft. They are going to use parts. So what we did is we wired into projects. We created a new tab here called parts. And these are the parts that would be needed for an XYZ generic maintenance. So if I turn around over here is basically a Hughes 300 or a Schweitzer 300. This is a 500 right here behind me. These both have annuals on them, but the annual on this one behind me will have a different checklist of parts it needs, right? And so when someone comes in the system, they have a pop-up in our BVA system. They say, we need a part. So if I create a new project, and it's called an annual, but it's an annual inspection. I'm going to say for all of you, I'm going to say doing annual inspection on Air Force One. So we have this right here. If I say, we need some parts on here. And in the sequence of conversation is, okay, here's this entire list from a binder of parts I have. Type it in. You're over here, click and type and type and click and tick and type. And you're like, that's stupid. We should just have it do it automatically. So then we have a button over here that says, load a preset of parts that we need. And what Margaret's talking about doing maybe for tomorrow, she's going to practice it once today before I turn her loose on all of you. Everything that I do here on the show, I've done before, live on TV, one way or the other. And so this is where it's like these are pre-built lists. So that's the title of the list, Canberra 57 helicopter. Let's say we want to use that up on this helicopter here. I could select it. Then I could. Oh, I selected it and that did it, right? That was all that
Yes.
was to it. And then it actually found the parts for that pre-canned list and it dropped them on here for us, right? And then you could even have it auto default the total that you're expected to need. Like if you're going to have Air Force One and you need the Mikey Mike stimulator, right? And we're going to need 4 of those, right? And then you're going to need 2 of these and then maybe 1 of these, right? And so you would already know you could know based upon what you're doing, what you already need. So those would probably be filled in too. So then what you have to do is you have to have the parts department go figure out what they can pull for you off the shelf, what the uh, what the mechanics will pull themselves. And so that's what we did yesterday. And as we would change these numbers in here, it would adjust the inventory automatically. We had that conversation yesterday. So if I'm over here and I say, well, the parts department found 4, they found them all. So then what happened right there is it found this item right there and it actually adjusted inventory for us. It was that fast, pretty great. And so we don't need any more, et cetera. So, but this is the idea. Now, once again, yesterday, if I pop a new window, I go back over here, we go to, let's see, parts, there's library of line items or the catalog of line items, right? So if we go over, is it this one here, Margaret, or is it this one
It's
here? Which one?
1701.
This one right here. Okay, there we go. So then we had the Mikey Mike. So I just had 2 there, right? But what if we come over here and say, well, we actually needed 7 and the parts person found 5. Now notice I said we need 7. The fact that I need something, does that affect inventory at all? No. Notice it hasn't changed. But if I come over and say, well, we actually found 5, okay, and I click out, what happens is that it's automatically gone over here, found the record and adjusted the inventory. So yes, this is about an automatic inventory adjust in the world of, once again, this gets back to the 60-day training that we talked about. When you learn FileMaker at a very basic level, I can turn that on, I suppose, and I can draw pictures. Most of the time we start off and we're building stuff over here. We're just trying to figure out what we know, where we're at. And then you become more of a developer over here. And then you get more success and people want you to share the solutions. So you're over here with that. And then what happens is that as people use your solution, more and more use it. You have more and more records in there. You can have a performance slowdown. The way we built this over here, right here, with it automatically handling the inventory via a script that runs at the time we make the edit to the volume, to the quantity, is by far the highest performance solution. What you saw right there, some of you are like, oh, I don't, it's so convoluted. It's not, it's very straightforward, right? Remember the conversation. Go over to this other area, find the item, and change the quantity. And by doing it only when we're here making this edit, then every time we come to this screen, there's no calculations that are needed here to update the screen. We don't have to do anything. Just by coming to the screen, if I'm flipping through the screen, flip, 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 there's no calculations that have to fire over here, right? If I come here, boom, all these numbers it already had. If I go over to the inventory over here, if I come on here, it doesn't have to do math on this to figure out what this is going to be. It's already done the math incrementally in like quarter second or millisecond little investments all along. So when you come here, this is cache data. Some of you call it cache data. This is cache data. It's all pre-cache. And this is more of it, once again, a serious intermediate developer skill, because now you can build something that will scale. So these are cache values. There's no automatic calculation in here needed. Okay. So we don't use calculation fields to drive these because for the most part, we don't use, yeah, because we don't, it causes a performance hit when you run a calculation over lots of records. Okay.
Do you want to add something to the because I randomly shoved this in there, which maybe can be refined. Do you
Okay.
want to add a field to the portal in projects?
A field to the portal in
The
projects.
one that
What?
we're looking at, that portal, the portal we're
Yeah,
currently
so
staring at.
yesterday we had this conversation real quick. So over here, this is so what we had is to adjust the inventory. We had this conversation yesterday. We tracked, this would be a hidden value. It's going to be hidden. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make it like super light color. It's like stealthiness and a stealthy fog, right? Kind of thing. And I can make it kind of blue, and then I could set it to be not enterable so they don't enter it by accident. But this is the old number, and then that's a new number. And by you editing the number in here and then jumping out, it causes the script to fire. Okay. And there's also there's a hidden one for this one over here too, right, Margaret? So
Yes, it's currently actually off the layout, but yes.
I could put it back on here. So it's going to be parts pull. How about the mechanic Pilford original? There we
Original.
go. There we go. So these are kind of both invisible here, and I'm going to make sure that in terms of style and stuff that, yeah, they have no lines. They have no lines. I'm just going to say they're very italic. How should I make them? Yeah, kind of weird. Anyway, so you get the idea that what it does is that that's the previous value from when the script was run. So if you change something in here, like to 15 or something, the system, those are two different fields. This is going to be the new values, the old values. So the script can tell, hey, we removed 5 out of inventory. That's why there's 2 of these here. So then if I click out or I tab, it in that time there, it popped a window and did all the maintenance and adjusted the inventory. Normally you're not going to see this, but I'm showing this here. Like if I pull 5, then there was 0 there before. If I click out, Margaret's done that. There you go. Okay. So this is where I pulled too many negative over here. Okay. Question. What else did you want me to add over here, Margaret?
If you go to layout mode and go to the portal, like because it's a field in parts used on project. It's a little
Okay.
checkbox.
Okay. What? I don't understand.
Well, how do you add? It's a related portal. How do you add fields to a related portal you don't have already? I'm spacing.
Well, first you have to make room, right?
That's true.
Okay. I
But
don't understand. Okay. Back up.
I made a
So
thing.
the
So
talent of the talent of the show has no idea what the broadcast engineer is doing. So why don't you give me more detail here?
I made a thing where if the parts lady clicks, this is on order, it'll go find every single part across all projects that has that ID and will tell them that it's on order via checkbox.
Yeah, so this gets into all the things that can occur. And this is where we started this yesterday. We didn't get very far with this. Instead of working on that, Margaret, I'm not want to necessarily do that per se at this moment. I mean, we
Okay.
can. What I want to do is write down all the processes we expect to happen. So request the parts manager pull a project. We could also say um, parts manager fulfills I'll say it's not they send out an order. What's a verb? I don't want to say they ordered an order. I need a verb and a noun. So they're ordering parts we need.
Uh,
Orders needed parts, I guess. Needed
yeah.
parts. Okay. So the question is, if the parts manager orders needed parts, how does that reflect on screen here? Right. And that's kind of what Margaret's playing with, right? And then the parts manager uh needs to be alerted that there are parts that need to be ordered, and I would just call this routine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And routine notification means that, remember yesterday we had this thing. She moved it the other day. I'll say at some point I'll find one, but it's called AOG. That's not AOC. That's AOG. Your ass is no aircraft. It's not ass. It's aircraft is on the ground, which means that it's on the ground because mechanically it's not 100%, and it's not legally allowed to fly. So basically it's stuck on the ground, right? Stuck on the ground, our aircraft on ground. So that's a baseball term specific to this line of work. But this is like a higher priority alert as opposed to saying, well, when you're free and not doing anything important, order this, right? So that's kind of that conversation. So we have that, which I'm going to call a routine order. Then the other one is that we had, I'm going to go back to layout mode. I'm going to say parts manager needs to be alerted and that there is a needs I was to needs urgent alert for needed parts, which is kind of that AOC thing or AOG thing or AO whatever thing. And so I'll click out. So now the conversation became, well, how do we alert people to do this, right? Margaret, did you set up the Twilio account? Did you do that a little bit, or are you still working on that?
I mean, I set it up. I haven't tried it out yet. I was
Nah,
busy.
nah, we will bring that tomorrow so we can go through that. So that's how we'll wrap things up today. But I want to answer questions and discuss the workflow on this. So here's the thing. If we're over here and we do this, it's like parts A, you say, well, we'll need it. It's no big deal. Maybe you need by, and so I'm pretending to be a mechanic, like let's say June 1. So this is the notes to the notes parts manager. How does the parts manager know this note is here for them? They don't. Okay. So we want to send them a SMS text message to their phone. And on the phone, and also at least with my computer, when I get a text message, it gets cross-decked or cross-loaded to my computer. The reason I send it to phone is because people frequently will not be at their computer, and if it's urgent, it's like I'm going to send an email to the surgeon that there's a someone in a horrible car accident. And they have 10 minutes to live. They need to get to the ER, and he's sitting there in the cafeteria smoking because he's not in front of his computer with his email, so he's not going to get the urgent email. Bad juju. That's why you hear in fact they page them or they call their cell phone. That's not good enough. So you hear that alert code blue in the ER, Dr. Carlton to the ER. So you go run to the ER, breathe, cardiac pattern, right? So you have to alert them that has kicked off, right? That's kind of the I hate to say that, but that's one of the better ways of describing it. Watching email is not good enough. We need something that's going to buzz your butt, and if it's bad enough, it goes on the speaker. Attention, we need parts for the Jet Ranger, right? And it boom through here, right? They're not going to do that. Nothing here is quite like that, but at a hospital, it would be pager, cell phone, and then on the microphone above so that's levels of alert. So we're going to do two alerts here. We're going to do kind of like what we do is we'll do a transient one like this one right here. But if we had it to be, then probably what we do most likely, and part of this, everyone, I'm working this out, and you're part of this conversation. What we need to do is kind of move this over here. I need to make a little room. What I'll do is I'm going to make this, okay, I'm going to make this smaller, right? I'm going to say size 11.
So
I'll
we
say
can actually read it still? Then would you shrink
still
it?
after that's what I'm going to shrink the out of it. Yeah. By the way, style condensed on the Mac seems to work pretty good. On Windows, it's kind of hit and miss a little bit. So be advised. So if I had that over here like this, I had notes from the parts manager. So that way the people in the building could tell you what's going on. Then we could build like two buttons, right? And I'm just going to duplicate a button. I double click the button. This is text only, icon only, text and icon. I want an icon only, and I would make it. So we need an icon of like holy emergency. Oh, it's like like when you send a meme and it's a little red light. We'd have to find a graphic in here, put that in there. It's like a routine alert. Oh, okay. See, by the way, see the padding right there? It cuts in there. So what if you did like that and you put that in here? So that's like the routine one. You're like, well, how do you know if it's urgent or not? Well, the mechanic would know, but which one? So we'll do this one. We'll make this one red. That makes sense. So if I go to now, if you're doing an icon, you want to style that, click on the icon. You go to the appearance, you go to the button, you go to the button icon, and then there's your blue, and then you have your code red kind of deal. And so this would alert the person by sending them an email and also shooting a text message. Okay. This one here, maybe this sends them an email, probably what I'm thinking about right now, Margaret. Right.
Yeah, that would
So
make sense.
anyone have any thoughts on this? I mean, because
We have some ongoing conversations, so I'm going to recount real fast. RC Jet Jockey wanted to confirm they've flown both heli and turbine RC jets. Nice.
oh, good.
Uh, I can see the logic of adjusting the stock in real time. However, I was expecting you to go down a route of completing the service and then a complete button that does all the stock changes. I think the problem with that would be that aren't they running out of stock while they're working on the helicopter?
Yeah, I mean, so I get what you're saying. So what was the RC jet? Okay, let me fix one thing over here. Then remind me of this. Hide an object. We want to hide it when the quantity. So we're going to hide it when the quantity still needed. Oh, we have to be in TUV. V is this portal. So T16 is the overall layout. The portal is T16V Victor. Okay, and if I'm going to say if the quantity quantity still needed is equal 0. Remember, null and 0 are frequently the same thing but different. Null, for those of you, if you hear the term null, mathematicians or scientists are involved, that's the vacuum of space. Well, what number is in the vacuum of space? Well, 0, nothing's there, but 0 in the vacuum of space to a mathematician or to some people are different things. So I'm going to check both conditions. Is it 0, or is, if I say is empty, is the vacuum of space what is kind of in this field? Does that make sense? So if either one of those is there, I'm going to say hide the object. Else we're going to show the object. Let's just say, okay, come up here, say, okay. Both those go to browse. So the next thing is we're only showing alerts for that's we don't have 100% of so far. Okay, so here's back to the question from RC Jet Jockey, which is great. Is that these mechanics will be in here doing one thing at a time, one thing at a time. I could see that you could go through the whole thing and then press a button. But really, and so let's just pretend that that's a good idea. Then you need to figure out how to make that work. Like check this one becomes 6, and this is 5, and this is 2, and this is 8, and this is 12. And then when you're done down here, you press a button. Well, we want it. So in the case of this customer, they're never going to do the whole page. They're going to do one item. They might do the whole page initially, but they're going to run like this happened yesterday. They were doing this is the part. This is one of the parts that goes on the damn helicopter. And I don't know if you could read that or not, but it's a little O-ring in there, and they're all different sizes for all different kinds of shafts that go on the helicopter, right? And so you have to put that in there. So this part wasn't available. They ran out. So they found this alternate part number, which is still legally the same thing. Cool. But initially, we didn't know, so we would alert them. So they were just working on one thing. They would never get to the whole thing. But let's say, for RC Jet Jockey's perspective, that let's do all these together, and at the end, it'll do them all. So the trick is that we have to fire a trigger. So let's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to script triggers. So let's see. Setups and script triggers for layout, script triggers for objects. So really we have layouts and objects. So layouts and objects. So what do I have? Script trigger, layout script triggers, automating task, script debug and execute scripts, example on timer, set variable. I just need all the script triggers. Script trigger reference. There we go. Try this. There we go. Okay, so here's all the script triggers, and largely we can talk about these if you want, okay? But this is kind of the problem that we ran into RC Jet Jockey. So once again, so the trick is that if in the old days of before FileMaker 14 or whatever, there were no script triggers. So the only way to really run a script was by pressing a button, or you could have a startup script or a close script. That's all you had, Margaret. Then along the line, they decided the script triggers might be valuable to the community as like one of the single biggest features that the web viewer they ever built. And so this is the scripts that triggers that and they, after the first release, they tweak these a little bit. So we have, so when we say object, an object is a specific field or a specific layout. A portal is not, I don't think you can click on a portal,
Well, you
right
can
click on,
name the portal, right? Or
okay, so here's a script trigger on a portal. So yeah, so normally I wouldn't do it that way because yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good question, right? Can we, okay, so what I need is a script workspace. I'm going to create a new script call beep you. Okay, so all of you can figure out what that means. Beep you. Okay, and then we're going to have a beep. And then we're also going to, then also, because it's equally worthless, we're going to show a custom dialogue. Go beep yourself, right? We want to make sure this training's done. If any of you are bored by this training, let me know, and we will dial up the level of difficulty. So I have beep you, which is probably let me just put it way out here at the bottom so I can find it. Very bottom script. There it is down there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close. Okay. It's out. I'm going to right click on the portal. And just for shits and giggles, I'll say on object exit, because that's what we'd want to do. Okay. So I'm going to hit that. Okay. I'm going to hit that. Okay. I'm going to hit,
what did you do?
I don't know what happened. Oh, I clicked on another one. There we go.
Oh,
On
I
exit
see.
different.
Okay.
There we go. Browse mode. Okay. So we start now. If we run into beep you will folks won't probably hear the beep, but well, you might. I'm definitely going to see the dialogue, right? So move this up a little bit. All right, so we're over here. I'm going to say quantity parts pulled 5, and I'm going to hit the tab key. Click. Okay, so the script trigger ran there. Clearly, the beep you didn't fire. I'm going to say
Well, you
4.
didn't really exit the portal, did you?
Right. No, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm established. Oh, so we exited the portal. So okay, so but every time so if I'm in here and I make an edit and then I go to a new record, that should access this object, right? Or if I click down here, okay, so you could do it that way. You just have to but here's the rub. You need to know which fields to focus on. Normally there's going to be 50, 60, 80 parts in here, right? So you'd have to triage and spin through each of those parts in
Yeah,
a
you have
loop.
to like build up like a new window and then
Is it?
search by
Yeah.
the library ID project.
Yeah, but you have to figure out which ones have a difference here. 4 to 4, there's no change. 5 to 5, there's no change. But okay, it's mad at me. Okay,
You keep triggering it because you keep leaving the portal.
yeah. So if it's a difference there, then you have to take action based upon that. So you could do it either way, but I don't know, because here's the rub. We didn't spend a ton of time. I mean, the way we coded this is super fuel efficient, right? Like when I say fuel efficient, I mean FileMaker and your computer don't have to try very hard to do it, right? So it's this script right here. And there's nothing fancy in here. There's no big found sets. We're doing a find. We don't do go to related records. This is faster using a find. Another find right here. We do adjustments. We're setting a field. We're basically managing this in a list view, which is faster than a portal. Everything that we could do to make this fast, but this is still running locally on the computer. You could conceptually send this off to PSOS, the server, to do for you, but I don't know that I would. I don't know that I would because you don't need it. You don't need it here. But if you have a script that takes a long time and it won't interfere with anything, you could say, instead of running this, like when I click in here, I say, I click in this one and I say, well, I'm going to pull, maybe 8 instead. And I'm going to tab out. It runs this. If it was really slow, we would tell the server to run that script for us. But we don't have a performance problem here. I don't see us ever having a performance problem. Okay. And then, of course, if you exit out, then that's the idea from RC Jet Jockey. But then your code has to be sophisticated to loop through everything the person could have changed, determine if they changed it, and then run a looping script that's going to figure that out. Intellectually, that's harder than just doing the one thing you need at a time. Remember, I'm on a Wi-Fi connection here, doing a Zoom call with performance, and look how fast it's running.
We have some other conversations. Yeah, yeah. RC Check is like, all about understanding workflow. Yes.
Yeah, I think that understanding the workflow and then coding it as simple as possible for best performance. And also it's coded simply. It's like Kyle Williams, who's a great developer. You should work for one of you folks should hire him if you need an in-house developer, like a legit in-house developer. However, Kyle's like, well, we could do it with JSON, this other. I'm trying to do this so that if any of you are at this beginner, is this? I think I damaged this image. Oh, I damaged this. So the purple circles here. So yeah. So if you
I can send you a fresh one if you
yeah,
want.
I will need a fresh one someday. So if you're any of these levels here, it's easy for you to figure out how the script works. So it's because all it is basic steps. There's no JSON, there's no XML, there's no SQL statements with all sorts of crazy. Okay. And so if I build it simple, then that means the person who falls behind me doesn't have to be super sophisticated to fix it. Right?
Yes.
What
Okay.
question?
We have some questions with Canberra. I've missed a couple days. Did you guys go over how you built the build list or the required parts for the inspections?
Margaret, you want to walk through that? Because I need a drink because I'm losing my voice. I gotta go find some water. Can
Oh,
you,
I
you,
we
can
we
you,
kind of did that, right? Well,
we did.
well,
It's what you built. What you share on your screen and go through the process.
we haven't really made a case where you can like make okay, yeah, I guess so. Hi,
Well, what we're doing, what we're doing, right now we're selecting the entire library. So explain the library and the parts library.
Yes.
Do that. We're not talking
Okay.
about itemizing, picking certain items,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'll be back in 1 minute. I got to find a cold beer or something.
Okay. Goodbye. Never to be seen again. And now you guys are all stuck with me. But yeah, Canberra. Basically, we divided the system into three chunks, which is there's a master list of parts, like there's this type of O-ring, there's this type of none of these are actual parts, but there's a master list of parts, and then we have two tables that interact with this list. One of which is the parts that actually, and we copy like every time a project needs a part, we copy off make a record into here by copying off of the master list, basically. So you will see duplicates over and over through here because these are the parts that actually make it onto, and you'll notice over here in the ID project, they actually make it onto the projects. And we also made a library, which basically means unique ways of organizing the master list of parts, which can be easily copied onto actual projects. So if we pull this up here, hi, hello, welcome back. This little wonderful card window basically allows you to take a pre-organized list of parts for the Canberra helicopter and drop it onto here. And actually
Drop it onto there. Let me. You found a
drop it
pre-organized.
on, yeah, pre-organized list and dropping it into the copying. Basically,
Okay.
it's copying the homework, right?
Okay.
Someone
Stop. Just
showed you.
stop. This is your
Okay.
turning. Objection. Objection. My. No, you're fine. What I want you to do is I want you to, because when you say drop it, that caused all sorts of confusion Tuesday and Wednesday, right? Or Monday. So, or Monday and Tuesday.
Well,
So,
yeah, I realized belatedly. Basically, someone.
so we have a
The smart
pre-built
kid
parts
next
list.
to you has the list of homework, and he has all the answers in the math homework. You copy off the math answers onto your own set of homework.
Perfect. So we see a list that we like.
Yes.
We duplicate that list in a different table.
Yes.
Copy and paste the words we use. We did not use copy and paste, but you
Yes.
basically replicated that list
Yes.
into the table that is over here. So we took it off the list and then we went ching 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 ching, and then we have the new list. Okay.
As for actually making these, I don't think we have this part functioning. Actually, now that I think.
Well,
about
just
this.
do it manually. So go
Well,
down to part.
yeah, I'm pretty sure this button does not work.
No.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
but do it.
Oh.
But do.
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but start a new. Start a new.
A new library.
Yeah.
Do we have a button for that?
Status.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. So what's the library name? We need people's help.
Someone want the library name? I mean, I'm gonna do Don Quixote or Windmill Tilt 1, Tilt 1, Windmill Tilt 2.
Okay, so then yeah, I got
Part number 1113. 1, 1, 1. Actual 3. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay. Windmill tilt 4. Did this make anything in the master list? Because if it didn't, then it should.
So what you do is you go to
It
that. Yeah.
did. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So this right here, everyone, these are the line items that go back, Margaret, to
Go. Yep.
the catalog.
Yes.
So this is the like aircraft model and year, whatever type of car. It's a Toyota Tundra 2000 and whatever 22. It needs an oil change, blah 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 blah. And you click on that, and then it goes, well, you need an oil filter this and an oil filter rubber seal thingy, and you need an air filter for the cabin and windshield wiper blades and left blade and right blade and rear blade and blah blah blah, and it fills all this out for you. Okay.
Yes.
This is the catalog. We select this, and then once again, it's going to replicate the list into the active list that's on the project. So backups. We have 3 tables. Just the parts overall. The parts table. If you want to, yeah, you can see it down there. There you go. So we have the basically the library or catalog, overall library catalog. Then we have the parts that make up the library catalog, which are this right here.
Mhm.
Then the third thing we have are actually the items that are on the actual work order job that we're doing. And so these are the actual items that we've actually used. So how many times will Don Quixote be in here? Once. Okay.
Yes.
How many times will the oil thing be in here? The oil thing will be in here for Don Quixote. It'll be in there for every time it's used in a catalog. At least that's the way we've built this, right? And actually, that brings up another problem, Margaret. Or
Yes.
I just verbally drove myself into a corner.
Cool. How? I missed how you flipped off the cliff. Where was the cliff edge?
Okay, so it might not be a problem, but it's a design defect. This gets back to Jerry or Gary, the conversation about normalizing databases.
Yes.
So, okay, here's the problem. Let me quit drawing here momentarily. So, can you make this come down a little bit? Let's change the name of this over here to the of the project. Just move that up a little bit and move it down. Okay, change the name of that project for me. This is change that. Let's just make that Toyota Tundra 2020 whatever 9. Put a 9 on there. Whatever, that's fine. Okay, now it takes an oil. Let's put a oil filter A123. Oil filter A123. Okay, so then now it's here.
Yes.
Now go back to, let's create another car. It's going to be a Toyota Camry 2025. Toyota Camry 2025. Okay, come down there. We're going to have some stuff. And then one of the things is going to be an oil filter A123. So here's the rub.
See, that's why I was thinking that maybe having it be created through portals is a problem. So what? You would have whenever you tried to add something to it'd have to be done the way we did the discrepancies. You would need a master pick list that you could sit there and sift through to find what you wanted to build your catalogs out of, which would make it so the only place you could add parts would be over here. Right?
Well, now you may understand what you said, but you articulated not very good.
Really
that
poorly.
Or you don't understand really poorly. So let me just keep that up, but I'm going to switch share to me real quick. Let me close that out. I'm going to switch sharing to over here, replace the current share. So this is an interesting problem, and some of you probably saw this, or maybe, and here's the deal: the more tables you have, the bigger pain in the ass it is. Here is the rub with this. If I get into this, so if I'm going to get into my, Freeform is my drawing program. Let's just do Freeform here. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to start with this up here, and make some tables. So I got a table up here. I'm going to start with a table. Here's a table. Okay. This table is I'll just say the catalog of I would say of parts I don't want to say parts kit, but a catalog of parts used for a specific service job. A service job is an oil change in your car or something. Okay. So there's our catalog, right? Then with and then within this right here, I mean, if I duplicate this, I'm gonna come down here. This is what we have right now. We have the catalog line items. So what these are in a technical definition sense is one record is a individual part used in the catalog. And the rub is with this, which is interesting. I'll put that like that, then I'm just going to move that down out of the way for now. Okay. So these are two tables right here. Okay. Table one, table two. We can put a line in there and whatever. Where's my little, there we go. We got this. Okay. There we go. Put that in there. Got there. It's one to many. Very simple. Okay. Makes sense, everyone? Now the rub is that a part might be in here more than once. The same part could be in there more than once.
Yeah, and
But the other part of the system we had was we actually had the actual job, I'll call it service job. So this is where the mechanics are doing real service jobs. And then they had a list of parts, uh, parts needed, or I'll say actually used, I keep using that, used on the service job. Okay. So this makes sense and this makes sense. And what they didn't want to do is they didn't want to hand copy in the list. The list is already here. They need to grab the items there and move them in here. But what they would do is they would click a button. They would see all the available catalogs, like 5 or 8 records or 20 records, whatever. They select one. We find all the parts for that catalog and essentially copy and paste them into here. Copy paste. We don't move them. We don't relationally, connect them in a meaningful way. It's basically a copy and paste job. The problem on the reorder is that the oil filter A123 could be in here 8 or 10 or 12 times. In fact, it will be with the current design with what we have.
yes, which
So really what has to happen, so if that's a problem, then that's that you talk to the customer about that. Like, is that really a problem? And this gets back to data modeling, obviously. But if I come over here and I say, well, this is, I would say all available parts. And I would say one record is a unique individual part, period. It's not unique individual part. And this right here is the one record is an individual part used in the catalog. So this right here, there we go. So that's what we have. And then at some point we get to a spot where we're going to take that. We were going to run a script that's literally going to copy and paste the found set from there to a found set over here. That's a manual process. We saw select that. This is the difference here. And so it only became obvious to me that there was a defect when I realized there could be multiple A123s and the parts person could order. It's one of these things that this might be a problem and it might not be a problem. It depends on how they use the database, right?
well,
Everyone,
that's
you see what
yeah,
I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, and what I was trying to say earlier was that you would make it so you can't add new parts. Like you would turn off the create new records through portal
Mm-hmm.
on
Oh yeah. You can only do
on
that over here. Do
so
that
you would
over
make
here.
it on the master list is the only place you can add new parts. So instead, when they make a catalog, what they get is a list would pop up of stuff that they can look through and select to add to
Yeah,
the catalog.
yes, and it would come from this over here. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's that way. In that way, when they're going to reorder, they're going to reorder from over here. They're not screwing around with reordering on that. Right now, we have it targeting a reorder over here, but we would reorder against this over here. This is also where the inventory control would be over here, right? So we'd have to adjust our script to move the inventory control. The end, not very hard to do, but this is
Yeah.
inventory control because over here we're going to have 5 or 8 or 10 records with the A123 oil filter, But really, we only want one A1223 and a quantity next to it. And that's what is over here on this side. Yeah. So does that make sense, everyone? So
I well, okay, I'm confused. I'm confused to why. Man, I wish I could figure out how to do little doodly things. Why can't
there's a pencil icon here, right? So why can't what? You have the
why
pencil icon, and then you can draw.
somewhere maybe? Oh, there it
Bottom.
is. Okay, cool. We're gonna change the color because it
Okay.
being green is not allowed. Um,
Okay.
why can't this be the master list?
Because the A123 cat. Okay, so go back to your screen real quick. I'm gonna stop share. Can you go back to your screen real quick?
Yeah.
The A123, oh, right here, is used on the Camry. It's also used as a
Yes.
separate record on the other cars.
Yes.
In fact,
But wouldn't my answer fix that problem? I'm not trying to like argue with you. I'm trying to like understand.
well,
Wouldn't
we'll just back up for a second, right? I don't know what you're proposing. You're proposing data entry. No, that's not no one gives it. I understand data entry, but data entry is down the road after we get it structured, right? So if listen, back up. Okay, so bring up the list view for this right here.
which
Go
one?
show the A123. Okay,
Yes.
just do a search down here for A because this is where it really is. That's a portals is bullshit. Just it's lipstick on a pig. Just A123. Okay,
Oh,
one,
sorry.
2, 3, probably.
Yeah.
No.
A 1, 2, 3. Whoop.
No.
So I don't know why. Sorry.
A123. Quit typing. Hit return. Okay, there's now. Are you
Did I
okay?
not?
You have that, and then
I wonder if I didn't. I wonder if I didn't commit the record, which is why
that not
I didn't.
committed over here?
I think I just committed it. There we go.
Okay, that helps. So this is in a Camry. This is in a station wagon. This is in a Jeep. This is in a different year truck. This is another thing. These are all real records with inventory levels, but the same part.
Yes.
They're all identical parts.
Yes. No.
So you can't do that over here. This has to for when we're doing inventory control, it has to be only one A123 and that quantity, and that belongs in that other table that we have to create. That's on my graph. If I go back to share, that's what you saw is that, and there were 5 or 6 A123s over here. We need to have only one A123 over here. That's where the inventory is managed from. Now you're talking about data entry, which is fine. You can talk about data entry all you want. I don't particularly give a shit, right? It really doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's going to put a brand new part in the system, they could put it in here and script it, but it really has to go over here. There can only be one A123 over here. Hopefully you can see my mouse. Only one A23 over here. And there might be 5 or 10 or 100 of them over here. And if there's 5 or 10 or 100 and you have a 5 inventory on this one and 8 inventory on this one and 12 inventory on that one, that's just screwed up. So you see what I'm saying? It's a fundamental structural issue. Once you understand where the single A123 lives, if you're over here filling out a new kind of car, it's the model year for next year. So the year 2025, the 2026 cars will be out shortly at a dealership in the United States. Anyway, it's how they do it here. You always get the next model year about 6 months early. So I'm going to put the oil on a new Honda or Prius or whatever it's going to be 2026. Has the same oil filter as a truck, even though it's electric, whatever. Just run with it. Okay. So you would have a pop-up list of available oil filters. If the oil filter you needed wasn't here, you'd have to add a plus button to add it over here, add the oil filter, and then it would reconnect. You built this with the aircraft system in BVA, Margaret.
Can you have multiple segments under Toyota Tundra catalog? Example for car service, oil filters, and plugs. Section 2 being suspension. Then you
Sure.
took the first model Toyota Tundra and then the subsection service of suspension, and it auto-populates relevant parts.
To do it in a single portal is a super. That's called a portal tree. Well, a hierarchical portal tree. We've done videos on those on and off for the last 10, 15 years. It's not simple. It's not something I would like. Me and Margaret could do that here. I mean, okay, so back up. It's the question, go back to Margaret's screen. Stop share. Go back to Margaret's screen. So the question is, like literally, actually, let me show this here real quick. Replace with current share. Yeah, I'm gonna replace here. Let me go over here to notes. Let me show you. So we are updating the parts list on the 206B, and this is what it looks like for them, the real list. It's in here because we're trying to get them to get the correct set of notes together down here. Okay. And I'm putting a lot of extra because when I got the list from them, it said like this. So what I've been doing is I've been taking all their data down there and cleaning it. This is what the real list looks like. So we have a group of oil, fuel filters here, hydraulics here, oil filters here, so you have all sorts of different filters and O-rings and plus chips. There's chip detectors, and then there's the O-ring that goes around the chip detector. The question is, how do they want to see this here? Now go back to Margaret's screen. So the question is, there's a list. Would you want to have it, like, well, we're going to have a different section here and a different section here. I mean, it gets to this point of how expansive is your list. Their entire list of consumable items on a car, on a standard oil change kind of deal, 5 parts maybe. Oil, you have to have blinker fluid, there's 2. Muffler bearings is 3. Oil filters 4, and a cabin air filter is 5, and maybe windshield wipers, but there's a left and right side which are different on most cars, and the rear windshield wiper if you have 3. So if I'm being super charitable, there's 8 items. Okay, you don't need categories now. Well, but you could say, well, here's the Camry, and this is going to be the engine. This will be transmission. This will be suspension. You could do anything you want. But when you run the script, it's going to have to corkscrew through and do all these. You probably do them in different portals. Unless the customer really hates doing multiple portals, and then they want to do a hierarchical portal tree. And Margaret doesn't even know how to do that. I would just simply say that's a senior level skill set. Doesn't mean none of you can do it. We could train you on it. But the whole point is when I'm done here today and we're having these conversations, every last one of you can take this and move it forward and use it for it because it's not that complicated. Once again, yesterday, someone said, oh, it's I could have done it, much better with a different technique. It's a very senior developer making a comment. I get all that. But I'm trying to train the people who are junior and intermediate developers. Margaret is a benchmark for that. Can she take what we learned today and apply it practically? If the customer says, well, I want everything in one portal, and that portal's getting data from like 5 or 6 different tables and just like that, on a portal, that's not a native FileMaker feature. So it's doable. You have a customer who is willing to pay you to do that. So Margaret, are they willing to pay you another day to learn how to do that and to manage that? BVA, these guys, they're not going to pay for that. Someone might. Well, because they're really married to the precise aesthetic. Like Nick Hunter. Nick Hunter was here. He would definitely say, you must do a hierarchical portal or it's abomination. Okay. But the people who hired Nick have a lot of money because Nick doing stuff in quick and fast and cheap and inexpensive is not in Nick's dictionary. Nick has one setting, which is the Taj Mahal, right? With glass ceilings and polished floors and it looks like Steve Jobs lived there. That's just Nick. That's fine. But you have to adjust the trajectory of what you're going to deliver to the customer. The more sophisticated you make it, okay, let me help everyone out here. I haven't had this prop used in a while. Stacks of cash. That's 50,000 US right there. Okay. So is it a hierarchical portal that expensive? I don't know. What's your hourly rate, Margaret? Margaret's going to charge the customers $150, $200 an hour, something like that. We start shuffling the money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's for half a day. 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably that much for Margaret to do a hierarchical portal. Is it important? How many people are going to use it?
Yep, it depends. Some customers, yes. Some customers, no.
Some customers, absolutely. And you don't even ask them because they don't want you to itemize. They just want to. It's like they just want it done. They want it to be beautiful.
Yeah. How badly do they want the special portal?
Well, yeah, right. Because it's not we get back. Listen, and this gets back to everything we do, and it's like this circular kind of thing. Why do we do Christian Schmidt and stuff here so much? Because a lot of you, if someone said hierarchical portal, about half the audience here would be like, I have no idea. No idea. I could watch a video on them and spend a bunch of time doing it. So you have to tell the customer, I don't know how to do it. So no, I don't know how to do it, but I can learn if you're going to pay me to learn how to do it. That's an awkward conversation with the customer. It's an important one. You should be prepared to have that with your boss. We all have bosses. We have someone who pays us. Are they willing to pay for that? Right. So when you use Monkey Bread, it allows you to say yes, not no to the customer, but yes more times. I don't know if Monkey Bread has anything that would help you with a hierarchical portal. No one, Christian Schmidt probably, but yeah, I mean it's kind of an important conversation. So in terms of data entry, if you're over here and you would say add a new part consumable, and you're putting a part in, it would bring up a list from the master catalog table, and you could sort the list and select an item, and it would populate over here. It's kind of time consuming to build a list initially, but once it's built, you don't have to redo it. It's easy to maintain. You just have to tweak little things. Well, that part's no longer available. This rubber seal is not available. Can get a different one and substitute it.
Yeah, Nick's quick and fast is orders and magnitude above the rest of us. Correct. There are many, many, many truly brilliant FileMaker developers. I am not one of them.
Well, but you can have a great career and be super successful and make lots of money and not be the smartest.
Without the level of brilliant, yes.
Yeah, you can be that without being at a Kyle Williams level. Kyle Williams is truly talented. He's really good. I don't even know if he's even here. So yeah, so it's I'm trying to bring an engineer to help me with API with Dropbox. One of my engineers is going to help me do that. Right, the same engineer help with the AI. We have an AI where the people here are working on it. They're greasy. Instead of typing on a keyboard, they just verbally dictate it. They love it. They found a little bug yesterday. We got to fix, but that's normal. So I always go out and grab more experienced people to help me out around the edges. And maybe I learn from that. Maybe I add that to my skill set. But, the goal is to make it successful, to make the customer successful. Okay. You don't have to be Todd Geis, the smartest guy on the planet, to have a successful career in FileMaker. An average developer with some common sense and a good work ethic could make a lot of money. All right, you guys have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow with some SMS shenanigans. It'll be fun sending text messages to people.
Have a good one, everybody. We will see you then. Bye-bye.